Okay, we will start. We will not wait longer than this. Hi, Walter. Okay, so I'm sharing the screen. This is the screen share. And that's what I have prepared for our conversation. By the way, I don't see one interesting thing. Let me get it from my email. Right here. I apologize, but I do need that one. So 1 second, it's right here using the writer and just repeat that. Yeah, just repeat that command to build it and to move it to the desktop, and from the desktop it's going in there and we're ready to talk. Okay, so I'm giving you the link that you need, that one. Here is the link to the webinar. So I'm giving you that link to the webinar, and here it is. And that's to the materials of the webinar. So I'm going to our chat, and hi, Greg, and hi, Juan from Colombia. All right. So that's the link, the Bitly link to the materials. And for those people who are new here, let me quickly review what is the format. So we're talking about what is new and interesting in AI. Of course, there are myriads of things that are new and interesting in AI, but where I'm different is that I try everything that I see. Okay, not just talk about this. So that's my email, and that's the folder that has all the materials that I refer to, so you can go to them, and that's our learning path. That is because very often people who are new to this, they all ask, where do I start? How do I learn all that? And well, you go there. Let me open that link. So whatever is learn worthy, something that we should consider learning, it's right here. I don't know why it's D, it's number, okay? But whatever is interesting to learn, it's all here. And yes, it is a lot. It is a lot here. And Andrew Ng is our guide in that. And recently he came with a new approach to life. And the new approach to life is that learning is the most important thing. It's hi Walter. Okay, 12:20 for Friday PM. Okay, so that's the thing that you should or could or consider learning, and he ends his messages with happy learning. So that's the outline of whatever you could learn, but specifically today we will look at that. We will look at what are the news, and I don't think we did that right last week, so we will look at what were the news last week. We will also look at one of the new courses, and I'll tell you what the course is about, what is the company behind it, what is that about, and then I'll give you some of the news of my own making. So what I'm doing, what I'm teaching, and what new projects are coming up. So the first thing that we do is news this week, and here they are. These are the news this week, and you see my source. But what I'm interested in some specific items out of there. So it's okay to share where do I get my news. And it turns out that there is a Nobel Prize in AI. There is no Nobel Prize in AI, and instead it's in physics. But even though it's called a physics Nobel Prize, but it's for creating AI. Now, which part of AI? Neural networks. That's where it all started. It is all still neural networks. So Andrew talks a lot about how great that is. And he talks about how he was a great friend of this Hinton, Geoff Hinton, who was the very first implementer, or one of the first implementers of neural network. By the way, that is Jeff Dean, that's the head of Google, and celebrity shot. The other interesting thing is that there is another Nobel Prize, and that Nobel Prize is in chemistry because of AI. So let's look at this one. Okay, these are the guys who won the Chemistry Nobel Prize again for their work in AI. Now, Demis Hassabis is one of the people who is very important. He came from outside of Google. Other people are inside of Google. But what I found is very interesting. I'm quoting that. And what I found is that the best source, if you want to know more, here that the best source turns out to be the Nobel Prize itself. And I looked at the chemistry Nobel Prize PR, and that's what I saw. I saw that they really explain it in details with the pictures, okay, and what exactly they were figuring out in chemistry, what the AI contribution was. So I found that article to be honestly the best because it makes sense. It's really talking about what was invented and what was new. It's amazing. By the way, it's amazing that that is not a summary award for 40 years of working, because all that work didn't exist just maybe 2-3 years ago. Nevertheless, it is here now. Okay, so that is what the chemistry award is for. If you Google for that, you will see every newspaper, and I think there you are. I think I need to resume share. That was the problem. Okay, so I was saying that in chemistry, that's relatively new. Well, neural networks are not that old either. So here, physics Nobel Prize also went to AI work, but here they don't explain. Okay, but in chemistry they do the good work, and that's because every newspaper and so it's one type of people that always gets one word from me, and that's the newspapers, because they need to somehow compress and misrepresent and then show it in the newspaper. Okay, that was the story of last week. The story of the week before. The story of the week before is here. And the most interesting thing here was that a potential very bad regulation was finally killed. What was this very bad regulation? He spells it out here. That proposed that the maker of AI should be punished if somebody misuses AI. And the argument against that, as Andrew spells out, was that, well, it's worse than punishing the maker of a weapon because somebody misused the weapon. But that would be even worse because really the regulated thing should be the application itself, not the basic technology, what would essentially kill all new all new development and all open source. That okay, that didn't happen. So great news. Also, there were great news in one of the lawsuits that something specifically dealing with copyright was allowed. It wasn't wrong to do that. So these were all legal news, but for a change, these were great legal news. Now let's segue into this wonderful course. So now that I have talked about the news a little bit, I'm closing that and I'm going back to what we are doing. And what we're doing is right here. So we are looking at the news, but then we're looking at the new course. Now, not only the new course, we really wanted to look what is that, because I showed you 50, 60 courses that you need to learn, or maybe I shouldn't use this word need to learn, but it's maybe recommended. And by the way, where did my video go? Here. Okay. And that course, let me show you first of all from which company it comes. There you are. Now, today's style is if you have something worthwhile, one of the avenues is go to Andrew Ng and do a course with him. He will welcome it to the collection of his things to learn, and you will get publicity. So what is that? That company says, guys, have you heard about RAG? Okay, and you answer yes, of course, that is retrieval augmented generation. Everybody in the street knows that. That is how you do it. You take all your documents, put them in the what's called a vector database. One of the name is vector database or semantic database. And when you are having an AI application, the first thing that you do is retrieve relevant context. In other words, let's say I have 1 million documents. So put them all in this database and get the relevant context, and with that relevant context, go to AI. All right, this was called RAG, Retrieval Augmented Generation. RAG is a bad term, but it is already the term of art, so nothing to do about that. The only problem is the R of RAG is from 10 years ago, and the G of RAG is today. Also, the R of RAG, the retrieval, the vector database, or the embedding, it's all the same thing. They all were invented by Thomas Mikolov in 2013, where he said, when you put your information into the database, he said, don't use the keywords. Keywords don't know what they mean. They lose the meaning. Instead, use a mapping from your words to a vector. And usually we're talking about a vector that's long, between 500 to 2000 numbers. And that vector should be made to represent the meaning, okay? Not just the keywords, not the frequency, but the meaning of the text. All right, for that, there is no simple algorithm like there was for keywords. Instead, there is a neural network that you train to represent the meaning, so that the famous result is that Paris is related to France as, what's the capital of Germany? Okay, Berlin is related to Germany. And the other famous result is that king, represented by this vector, minus man, represented by a vector in this database, plus a woman, represented by this vector, is what? So you know that if it is a king, subtract the man, add a woman, becomes a queen. Well, the amazing thing is that vectors also work this way. All right, that's all the introduction. It's 2013 technology. And now you are taking that technology and combining it with the ChatGPT or any other AI implementation, and that's a mismatch. That is what this company wants to address. So they give you a powerful vector database, which I don't think they tell you which, it's their own Zrent or Qrent, okay? And they run it in the cloud. These are the pricing. Here you are. You can see what the pricing is. So it's another implementation, but supposedly a very smart implementation, a very good correct implementation, and that takes care of the distance of 10 years ago and today, or should take care, because it adds a carefully measured database and teaches you how exactly to use it. That is what the course is about. So I would summarize it. It's a way to improve the reg architecture by doing the modernization of the letter R, showing you the real stuff. So the real stuff is right here. I ran it for you. I usually put it in my repository. This time I just ran it inside of theirs. And what they do is first explain what is that? What is embedding models? What does it mean to take a piece of text and convert it to a meaning, okay? Meaning of your text as represented by a vector. So what they do is bring in a sentence transformer that is, of course, taking your text and converting it to something. Now, what is this something? First, you need to tokenize. That's going deeper than you usually go. You need to say that if there is an email, let's say john@company.com, then you could store it as a complete email, john@company.com, or you might just store the first name and then company.com and then some indication of the @ That is a choice, and there is no straightforward answer to either solution. But it emphasizes that you need to think about how you process the smallest elements of your text. And that's what they're talking about. Before you start embedding, you take your text and convert it to tokens. And I said just before that you can have different way of tokenizing for emails, but you can also have different ways of, their example is, I'm enjoying learning. So I am is probably okay, enjoying the break into and joining and learn in. That's how the break learning. That's another way to tokenize it. So that is what they do now. They emphasize the important, okay, walk along, walk. Good example, but they show you how important it is to preserve the position of the text and where exactly that word is relating to the other elements of the text. And they show you different embeddings or different ways of taking your text and converting it into a vector that's represented by a meaning. That's what they do here. Then they explain more. Now I have prepared it here. Then they explain the role of the tokenizer. It's crucial, and most people don't even care. They just take the default tokenizer, and they explain how important that is. Well, all the while they're teaching this basic knowledge, they're also selling the technology. Kind of look at how smart we are, and we implemented it all for you here in the cloud. And just for that pricing, you can get all this knowledge, and I'm sure consulting would be included. Okay, so that is what they do, and then they tell you that you thought tokenizing is easy, but no, it is not. Tokenizing is tricky. Tokenizing is tricky, and it depends upon how you understand. But if you do understand what you're doing, then nice pictures show you that you're right and understanding it the right way. What else do they do? So I think they teach you that it's not easy. Don't just settle for the default everything like you usually do, the first implementation, couple lines, and it works. But go deeper look at measuring, is your search relevant? Because without measuring, you're just playing with that. Again, to mention a reporter wakes up in the morning and with his coffee, he plays with ChatGPT and reports to us what it says, not realizing that really it's a deep, deep science, and that's all represented right here. So that is the course. I think that if you're into the next stage of your implementations, if you're into, I want quality and I'm serious about this, that is a worthy thing. You don't have to use that cloud, by the way. You just learn what is important and what is usually known to people who are into this, and you use that. Okay, that is all about this course. It's all found in this link right here. No, here, right? And we have covered the retrieval optimization. Now we understand why it's called this way. It's called R in RAG, and it's a better, it's improving or optimization of R. Okay, couple more things. So I finally began to get requests for AI training. Okay, what's the... Okay, now Greg asked a great question. Let's read it. How do you make, how do I be sure my tokenizer is using sentence level embeddings versus work or token level embedding? Is it the choice of the embedding model I choose at Hugging Face, or the way of applying? Greg, I believe it is which model you apply and what parameters do you use there. And so it becomes not or but and. So first of all, you choose the embedding model. Maybe you choose it at Hugging Face, or maybe you download it from elsewhere. And then when you apply that model, there will be parameters to choose. Okay. And then Greg explains that his concern is he wants the different token for word bank in the following statement, right? And I think it will, okay. OpenAI talks about this embedding, but OpenAI just gives you the model. It's one of the, it's a great reference that you list here, but this OpenAI only gives you one model and doesn't go into much explanation. That one, I don't say one excludes the other, but you will have to look at both. All right, now the next one, the next note. I'll see we discussed that. So it doesn't show here, and I know that we addressed that question. Okay, great question. Thank you. Okay, so we said, what am I getting? Well, I'm getting the reactions. Now, it's something that is dear to my heart, maybe not yours, but when we teach the people a course that's called kind of deep learning with Python, and they come back and say, okay, you taught us Python, we didn't really want Python. What we want is AI. And then if I tell them, okay, well, let's get on the meeting. And they do get on the meeting. And the whole team gets on the meeting and tells us what they want. That's music to my ears. Because now, with that, I know there is a need. With all the sea of information, seemingly lots of information, and by the way, free. Well, they come online and they talk about this, and here is the result. So I captured, as I want, people say, what they want. And they happen to be one of the government agencies, not FBI, not IRS, but actually it works for all of them. So let me open the outline that they created for them. And it's usual blah, blah, blah in the beginning. It will appear on our website soon. But after giving all the obvious things, we'll come to the most important. What are the practical use cases that people want? and that's already scheduled, so I'll have to work on working them out. Question number 1, how to make sure your data stays private and under your control. Very many people will want that. And of course, the title of the course is for agencies, which resonates. The next, and of course, you know the answer, it will be use Llama, use a local model. Or you can use the Amazon model, Claude, but configure your model in network in such a way that it is downloaded to a virtual machine or downloaded within this network and then stays within this network and doesn't call back. Of course, there is a promise that it doesn't call back, and all of that you will have to discuss. Preparing reports for executives. So that's what they need, and that's what they expect AI to do. And the plan, the first plan of implementation is a lab that we discussed, which allows the executive to talk to your data. It's, I think, such a popular thing. It's been implemented by everyone I talk about, and they want to implement it inside of their system. So there is a way to ask your data questions, not with SQL. Of course, there is an SQL, and you need to bother the nice assistant who will help you with this SQL, but put a natural language interface into that. That's how I think we will approach. Next thing they say is there is employee turnover, and when the guy or girl goes away, that's the end of their knowledge or its use in the company. So honestly, I don't even know how to do it. It's kind of early days of rule-based systems, but of course, rule-based systems do not work, and you would know to use AI and how to capture that. Automating daily tasks. They expect AI to pull the stats and post them to Slack. Well, I'm not even sure if AI has a big role there. You can ask AI how to do it, and then maybe format transformation will be there. They also want to integrate Kanban into their workflow. And finally, they tell me that, you know, Mark, we actually figured it out already. So when I suggested Slack, they say, oh, we did Slack. So instead, please do integrating the Google, like Google email. So that is, I would say, already far away from AI, but that's a valid question. So I think we'll just teach them how to use Google API. All right, I will tell you how it goes. In about a month, I should be delivering that course. That's one. Another one is that I had at least the request. And the request was, it's coding with AI. The request was, well, I spare you the personal details, but somebody realized that he needs to teach his programmers how to use AI. Well, I went through the courses on Coursera, and they all empty because you don't need anything to use AI. It's kind of, it helped me to open ChatGPT. So therefore, they said, oh, we have two groups of people who some of them know a lot, some of them don't. So the end result is I went through that. I went to Copilot, and I saw how exactly this Copilot implemented, and it is found in Coursera. So if you go to Coursera and use the Copilot course, you will see that it's just, the course is not needed. Just start Copilot and add it to any of the ID. So I have not Copilot, but IntelliJ with its own AI. Because essentially everybody can use ChatGPT. I think that's what they all do. And IntelliJ is integrated with its own AI. Let's open and let's see. and I'll explain why I'm doing this. Okay, so there must be somewhere a way to start ChatGPT or chat conversation with AI from any place. I'm not sure where it is, probably somewhere. AI assistant, okay. So you give it the AI assistant, you type your question here, and you say something. That's my code, okay? So here's my code. Whatever it says, random piece of code, but it understands it, it explains it. So it's built into this. Now on Coursera, it's Microsoft implementation, and they choose the VS Code because that's a Microsoft product, but it's essentially the same idea. Well, if so, what's there to teach, right? Nevertheless, I'll tell you that the questions that they want to know is how to use any of the cloud AI, how to be able to switch. Are you careful that the AI will not steal your code? If you are, then kind of pay in this window. And how to use GitHub and Copilot and Claude and ChatGPT. And they're all sometimes different, but it's what is interesting. It's another request for teaching how to use AI. And there are lots of courses, but by now there is a whole sea of information and people find themselves lost. And that's what I'm showing to you. Now I have a couple questions. Jared, could you please share the links to the chat? I found the Google Docs and another email. Okay, so if you already found it, but I'll give you the link. Well, it is that same link. Okay, I hope that is exactly the link that you wanted, because it has the links to everything, but ask me in an email if you need anything specific. These courses that I showed, they will very soon appear, if not have already appeared on our website, so you can find them too, but really, ask me a question. All right, that was the training. I think training begins to understand that finally AI, which is all the rage for the last year and a half, it finally needs to go into training room. All right, so we're right here. Right here. And AI for the agencies, it's one of the next courses. Coding with AI, in other words, using AI in your code is another one. And final, Justice AI. What is that? So Justice AI is one guy who wants to have justice for all. And that sounds very good. And that's what I'm working on. So it would be, from my point of view, an open source implementation of some kind of criminal lawyer assistant with AI. That is essentially what this is. I'm formalizing it more and more, and maybe I'll talk about more about this in detail the next time. Right now, it's just that you can do it, and the interesting thing here will be to navigate with all the competition, because it's a money-making enterprise. And I'm coming with the free-for-all open source implementation. That is the end. Okay, could I provide codes in with the iDocument link? I wonder if I can drop that here. Well, let's see. That's where all things should appear. And this is where we have the courses. Now this is the AI part. Oh, there you are. Look at that. It's already there. How nice. And building with the AI. So what I'm giving you is this link. And what I truly should give you are the links that I personally am going to use. So if we're going to Code in AI, I asked that assistant that helps me to publish it here, I asked to remove the notes, but she did not. Okay, so you're very, very lucky. Okay, so that's the course on Copilot. That's the course of generative AI. And that's really all the secrets spilled out. Okay, and these are the very precious links at the bottom, and they are all yours. And really, I think I'll keep them because it's useful for you guys. So why not give it to you? Now, when the client ever comes here, the client should look at that and then should say, oh, these are the courses that we should really take and not from Mark. That's okay. I don't think they will come here. All right. That was your question, and I think I answered that. Let me do this. Let me stop talking and let me stop the video and wait till you come with the questions. Oh, Sharon already came with the question. We will still give you guys a minute. Sure, that's a good question. Now, what I did is I showed webinar dates, of course, item on your doc sheet, yes, but I'm not sure what that means. But if I go to ChatGPT, and it's just ChatGPT, then I'm logged in, okay, it knows who I am. But I know that if I go to an anonymous window, here's my anonymous window. Sorry, I'm playing with the windows. Okay, guest. I am guest. Well, where is it? Okay, I'm a guest. And in here, it doesn't know who I am. So chatgpt.com. All right, it didn't ask me who I was, right? But I can ask a question. So it tells me which model that is, but I agree with you that there is no place to upload things. What if I change the model? If we want to change the model, so I think that's the answer. I am in my account. Here you are, I'm in my account. And here I have this clip, paper clip, that allows me to upload anything. Not only that, it allows me to upload screenshots. Let us say I go to any kind of book. Let's see, maybe I'll find some kind of book on my desktop. Well, anything will work, right? So I'm opening this, not even copying and pasting, but instead making a screenshot. Here's the screenshot that I am making. Okay, the screenshot is on my copy paste board. I'm now going in here and I'm doing Control V, and my screenshot goes on here, right? So it got it. Of course, you can say that's easy because it was a screenshot, but text could be extracted. All right, so I go to some book on Google Books. Books on Google.com. And Moby Dick. All right. No text. But I'm really not interested in anything specific. What I'm saying is that any kind of text, PDF, I can make a screenshot, then I can upload it to ChatGPT here. Control V paste. It gets it. Okay, Sharon, your question was, it doesn't work for you. It seems like because I am me, it knows who I am. And because it knows who I am, it allows me to change the model. You saw that it didn't allow that when we were anonymous. So probably that is the answer. You need to play with it. Okay? I hope that was your question and we kind of touched on the answer. All right, guys, so I wish you a great time ahead and a great weekend, a great year. Thank you and goodbye.